Cam Jordan, 8 Pro Bowls, 13 years. Just played his 200th game at the Colts. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's joining us on Halloween. Okay, let's start with this. You got a new quarterback, and Derek's very outspoken. He's screaming at this guy and screaming at that guy and young guy. Nobody likes to be screamed at. It's just the reality. Tom Brady would be screaming at Josh McDaniels and barking at receivers. Drew Brees wasn't really kind of that guy from what I could tell. Does it take a while to get used to Derek, who tends to be very vocal, very loud and verbal on certain plays? How is it working?
Don't you want a competitive quarterback? Look, I get it. We're in 2023 where the world is a lot more sensitive to everybody's feelings. If this happened in 2007, or even when I started out playing high school football, back in the early 2000s, nobody would care. Shoot, people, the fire and brimstone way is now overbearing. And that's not even close to what Derek is. I mean, if he has fervor because he wants a receiver to run the right way, like, I'm sorry, he's a very emotionally in tune person and wants to compete at a high level. That is just a part of football for me. So I'm on the other side of this. I'm like, what are you talking about? If he's upset, shouldn't he voice his opinion? Like, if anything, let's talk about it now and get it right the next time.
Yeah.
So you have games like, this past game in Indianapolis where you see the offense put up 30-some odd points. We like that part.
Yeah. So you had Dan Campbell. You know Dan. I didn't like his opening press conference when he talked about eating kneecaps, but I will say those dudes play so hard for him. And by the way, there are a couple of coaches out there, Mike Tomlin's one of them, that they have a physical presence. Mike Vrabel has this. They look like players. Tell me about Dan. He's really hit it out of the park. He seems like the sweetest guy in the world, the gentle giant. Are you surprised by it?
Gentle giant. He played 10 years at the tight end position. It's Dan Campbell. He's got the resume to back it up. As a former player, Antonio Brown would say, the living resume. He has that. He's put in the work as a player. He's now put in the work as a tight ends coach, as an offensive coach, and then as a head coach. The guys were down on him the first year out because of a press conference, but all I saw was energy and the love to compete.
Yeah,
and he buys in. He's so bought into it, you can't help but know that it's infectious to where players now. What is he? His third year over there?
Yeah. Yeah, they love him.
Third year over there, guys are fully bought in. They're sort of led. You pick up Alex Anzalone from the Saints, bring him with, and he's a captain, and he's making big impact plays. You draft well, Aiden Hutchinson over there making big plays. You saw Jahmyr Gibbs, go off. They call it a breakout game for him, but you knew the talent that he was from Alabama. So it makes sense for their third year stride. This is probably the year that you want to see their team make strides. Now. Yeah. They're led by a Cal quarterback, so you can't knock it.
That's right. Sean Payton, who you know well, goes to Denver. Now that was a bit of a mess. You got a lot of things to clean up, and Sean's really blunt. He doesn't suffer fools gladly. It was really turbulent. It does look like the last couple of weeks he's gotten everything right. It takes a while. You know this. New quarterback, new coach. Can't solve this stuff in an hour. Were you surprised by the turbulence of the Sean Payton Denver stuff for the first 6 weeks?
No, not at all. You have to be able to, you got to shake it out sometimes. And Sean's definitely a shaker. If he doesn't feel that things are going the right way, he'll shake things up, as you can see. But again, this is year one. Do you expect immediate success? Maybe because it's Sean Payton, the answer would be yes. But he's on a new team. He's going to sort things out, get things going his way, and get that ship sailed going the right way. I'm just thinking like there's a lot of expectations for a year one head coach. Let's give him 2 years in, 3 years in, see what happens there. That being said, yeah, it's Sean. Sean's going to talk the way he's always talked and walk the way he's always walked, and I assume the ship will be righted.
Has there ever been in your 13 seasons? Were you ever part of a team that added somebody at the trade deadline and it was beneficial that it worked? Because we've gotten a couple moves today and we still got an hour and a half. Are you a fan of the trade deadline? Are you a fan, Cam, of adding somebody to your team almost midseason?
Hey, I stay in my lane, Colin. On that one, I stay in my lane. I'm happy that I have never been a part of the trade deadline. And when I see teammates come and go, I think the Vikings just traded for Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Saints have ever made a major trade during the deadline in a positive way. I think the last super major change that we saw was probably Jimmy Graham leaving to go to Seattle. So I guess we got Matt Unger, and he was a heck of a center.
Yes,
but you lost a perennial Pro Bowler in Jimmy Graham at what was his beginning of his prime. And then he goes to Seattle, and you're not going to see that much the success that he had here because they tried to make him a blocking tight end when he was 1,000-yard receiving tight end. But I mean, either way. So we got a good deal there. I guess if you're going to say who got a better version, we got Max Unger.
Yep.
And we knew how to use him versus we sent the Jimmy Graham off to Seattle who didn't know how to use him.
Right. No, that's by the way. That was my least favorite Pete Carroll move at the time. I loved Max Unger. He was great for you guys, and great. You nailed it. Graham was a pass-catching tight end, not a blocker, and he was ineffective in Seattle. So the danger to it is the personality, what is the fit. It's hard in this league to throw people into a room and create inertia and momentum and get along with guys. It's just hard to win. You guys were at the Bears this week. So you don't know much about their quarterback situation. It's interesting. Your career, you've got Drew Brees, you've got Derek Carr, you've had good quarterback play. You're going to Chicago. They've never had, and I'm dead serious, in the history of the franchise, they've never had like a Pro Bowl level elite quarterback ever for any extended period. When you face teams.
They had Jay Cutler.
Well,
Jay Cutler
for an
was
hour.
The guy that can make all the throws.
Just didn't enough.
That's how I'm going to leave it. The guy could make all the throws.
So when you face these young quarterbacks, can you tell, Cam, instantly or over the course of a game, if the kid is afraid, over his skis? I mean, what can you tell with a young quarterback? Can you look at his eyes, listen to him? Do you have a sense very early, this is going to work or this is not going to work?
No, not at all. You have no idea. You feel like a young quarterback. I'm not excited to play a young quarterback because you don't know what's going to happen in it. What film am I breaking down? His college film? That was when he probably had the best O-line that he's ever going to have going against some guys that have talent, but not pro level talent. I don't even know what school he came from. Some school in West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's a D2 joint. I was reading about it and I was like, so I don't know his level his level of play anyways. So I'm breaking down his last game like, all right, so he scrambles a little bit, he can move well. You sort of want that veteran quarterback that his tendencies, where he likes to be. The last 4 weeks of it, we played this season alone, we played 3 or 4 quarterbacks that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
Other college film just doesn't give what you do in the pros. You're like, oh, he can move well. No, he can move really well. You go against the Bryce Youngs, the CJ Strouds. You're catching these quarterbacks that are getting the ball out because their coaches are trying to make their load management easy, which is frustrating as a rusher. Yay, another week of a quarterback who this guy last game was averaging release at 2.2? Like, it's frustrating. So, yay us. It's going to be up to us to put together a game plan to make him ineffective and also make sure he doesn't escape the pocket. And I can tell you where he likes to escape the pocket. These young kids, they don't have mannerisms yet. They're forming their habits now.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.